So we're going to double down on that arbiter note. So just real quickly, I want to keep with that recruiter station in Binghamton that I've been to probably 25 times in my lifetime trying to recruit in. They still haven't let me in. I've been in person. I've checked to them on the internet. Here I got one of them on my Facebook page talking to me. You know, here I'm sending. I can give you the arbiter. You know what I mean? I could tell you all the points. I could put them out here for you. Start letting you input the values out of not just one recruiter, but multiple recruiter sergeants, no less, given the arbiter, the composition of the metal of the tar, the tangent, the theta, the cosine, sine. I mean, the double body integral that you're putting in here. All right, fair enough. But before I go tearing it down, let me be first real critical about what this is. This is a IQ test to range a level of intelligence to base whether you're functionally able to have the contract. Now let's actually take a look at the arbiter here. Let's see how well it puts the part where it's supposed to be in its own position, because as autonomous as this is, still requires an MOS to look at the tax bracket to kind of correlate the grades, which ones you did good with, which ones didn't you do good. When you break this arbiter up, this line, it's a wave function. Did they do good here? Did they not do good here? Did they do there? What's the fall ratio on theta here for the angle? As we're going through this, obviously there's some natures of intelligence. Now, I've taken it. We'll go over to the Army asvab right now, practice test, and you'll see the gear force. You'll hear one about common readouts. Can you have retention? Are you good with reading information and then making an opinion? You don't really know if those answers are timed across the board. The whole test could be timed. These are all thetas. They're all cosines of the value at this answer from a relative perspective. You wouldn't generally say, oh, well, 83 Army, that's the overall arbiter number. But across the board inside here, you would say from the sectors of types of questions, analytical mechanics, chemistry. You know, what is the chemical symbol for gold? What is the chemical silver for silver? I mean, you could make this real heavy. And of course, I wouldn't know the answer for MCATs to know legal standards for a doctor. Right? You know, how do you apply a tourniquet? Well, apparently by running a hospital. That's the legal top end of zero and terminal velocity of statistical analysis. Got me swinging from the tree, Sarge. At any rate, inside here, you know, as you actually watch this, we're going to go through that arbiter problem that I was just dealing with a second ago for the working joules of the guillotine. This is this is a falling thing. It's still a working ball. It still has rotational force from an arbiter. It has terminal velocity like a ball would, or a bar, big ass piece of metal. Mythbusters did the piece of glass that falls onto Buster there and cuts him in half. Bullets shoot a target without a backplate. Those are the arbiters.
Either a positive or negative number. A positive number can have a square root of either a positive or a negative number. Two negatives multiplied together equal a positive number. In this case, 8 times x to the second power equals 128. Of
course it would be. A prime number, probably not a positive number. Yes, it would have to be a positive number. It's at a squared platform, and it's a positive number, so it would definitely be positive.
Plus or minus 4. A cube has a volume of 512 cubic inches.
Length times width times height.
Side of the cube? A, 64
say 64
inches.
off the hop because the numbers look right, but it might be.
C, 16 inches. D, 128 inches. The correct answer is
16?
B, 8 inches.
Length times width times height,
Since
right?
the shape is a cube, the length, height, and width all have to have the same measure. If volume equals L times W times
You write it
H,
out.
and
Like
the
I said, they
volume
don't.
is given as
Maybe they give you
512,
paper. Maybe
the
they
cube
don't.
root of 512
There's no
is 8
rules
inches.
in there to
8 times
arbitrarily
8 times
determine
8
contract and
equals
intelligence, and as
512.
soon as I do it,
The key
anything
is to
that they
find a
value
factor
that
which,
says
when multiplied by itself 3
contractually
times,
America
will yield
FMA.
512. The diagram shows parallelogram A, B,
You can't tell me not to do that
What
because
is
it's
the measure
intelligent
of
to
angle
do that
A
and get a
if
better
angle
grade.
B
But as
measures
long as that system has
170
limits of
degrees?
sit here, do the test,
A,
nobody thinks about it
63
anyways.
degrees.
they'll train you to do this and just trick question you then to be psychologically. I mean, what does that have to do with freedom? What has that have to do with the standard? What has that to do with the stick in the number about, well, you got to know this and then practice it out there? At what point in time did I fail? You won't even let me FMA take the test in front of you. You kick me out before I can even argue my case of whether I would do decent on this. You discriminated me against the numbers for what this diagram shows parallelograms are. I mean, I just don't understand how somebody with the contractual model with that and understands these tests and FMAs just can't figure out the arbiter of, well, obviously this building. What comes in here every day, the entirety of the MOS processes of all their matrices in every system, so I can make sure without the fucking asvab to determine what the best result is as a calculator, our numbers come out to be the same. How do you know if you've never taken it? Or they don't let you take it in front of them?
In this case, half times 34 times 17.
Nothing I can do for you, America. Nothing I can do for you. What do? They recruit people. At what point in time did they make the classification to idealize somebody outside of the roster? What it is that they do? They were independent sergeants, people, systems inside here that made a decision that somebody with the equal rights to take that test to somebody else. Misdemeanors, tattoo. These are things that are acceptable in the value for the math when you do the Sharps cases. When you apply the value after the court cases of being arrested, serving your time, applying that FMA function to do its result, to study drug and alcohol, to study mental health, to study probation, those are arbiters. Those are working forces. When you got this many gear teeth on the system, how many rotations does it make? That's the arbiter. Those are the people. Those are the situations.
X to the 15th power. The correct answer
now, I love the fact that X is X out here. The fuck does it apply to? Let me see the general do the calculations. You bring that general out there so I have a math problem so I always understand this is the first of the equations while I'm paralleling that in general across the board. It won't do you any good out here. There's only so many mathematicians. Why don't you form this test to be something a little bit more practical to fucking people in general? Because some Karen told you in the math that's how it was and you weren't smart enough to do it, well, I'll take that contract from you. I mean, these are simple training things. Clearly, I don't know how to tear down an AR-15 because I've never fucking tore down an AR-15 before. But I tore apart saws. I tore apart landscapes, looking for the core samples inside of here, looking for the yield ratios, looking for the tan, looking for the tar, looking for the signs. Huh?
8. C2. D4. The correct answer is